SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is the best way to determine where your business is at. It is a simple way to look at every key component of your business and analyze it for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. SWOT is the acronym for the 4 parameters the technique examines. Strengths, the characteristics of the business or project that give it an advantage over others. Weaknesses, characteristics that place the business or project at a disadvantage relative to others. Opportunities, elements in the environment that the business or project could exploit to its advantage. And threats, elements in the environment that could cause trouble for the business or the project. You can perform a SWOT analysis for a single component of the business, i.e., social media, your website. You can do one for financial applications or the overall business. A SWOT analysis assists in making decisions, pre-crisis planning, and preventative crisis management. So we use SWOT analysis as business owners to explore new possibilities, efforts, and solutions to help us make the decisions for the best path forward. It helps us to determine where change is possible and lets us adjust and refine plans mid-course. If there are strong relations between the strengths and opportunities, this could lead to really good conditions in the company and allow for the business owner to use a really aggressive strategy. If there are strong interactions between weaknesses and threats, that can be analyzed as a potential warning and advice for using a defensive strategy. Internal things that you look, the internal components are the strengths and the weaknesses. So these are things that are inside the business that you would evaluate. So people-centric, your staff, your volunteers, your board members, your target population. Physical, location, building, your equipment, your assets. Financial, budgets, grants, funding, sources of income. Another internal consideration is activities, the programs you want run, the systems that you enjoy, and also your past experiences, because those are your building blocks for learning and success. So these are all things internally in the business that you would review for your strengths and your weaknesses. The opportunities and threats boxes are external considerations. So future trends in your field or area of work. Economy, local, national, international. Funding sources, foundations, donors, legislatures. Demographics, changes in race, age, gender, and culture. The physical environment, legislation, and local, regional, national, and international events. So how do you develop a SWOT analysis? So you will be doing a SWOT analysis on your own business, but we're going to go through how to do one here, as well as look at some examples. So if you're doing this as a group, you'll need to designate a leader or a facilitator that has good listening skills and group process skills and can keep everybody moving forward and on track. And if you have a large group, you'll want to designate a recorder to back up the leader. And you can use a flip chart or a large board to record the analysis and the discussion points. And then later you would make it into a more polished fashion that you would share with your stakeholders to update. So it's okay to throw spaghetti at the wall and just get things out there and then refine it, what it looks like. So you want to look at getting the group to where are we currently at and where can we go and what's going to impede or propel us forward to those points. Have each member of your group designate kind of like what they want to work on and give them time to brainstorm and fill out their own strengths. So when you get started, just start jotting things down on a piece of paper. You're not going to fill your grid in right away, but think about your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats for your business, for your program, whatever component that you're looking at that moment. And it's a good idea to have lots of ideas. So you'll refine it in the second step, but first just get the spaghetti on the wall. I would recommend going in order. So start with your strengths, then your weaknesses, then your opportunities, and then your threats. And get your thoughts down, think about them, and then come back and refine it. So we're going to review a SWOT analysis for Uber. Now, Uber didn't do this SWOT analysis. Somebody made it up as an example, and so we're going to share it. So it may not be applicable to the company in its exact form, but let's just think about a car share service or a car ride service. So the strengths. For Uber, it is a well-recognized brand. Everybody is familiar with the brand. It is a high standard of service, verified drivers and cars. Uber Black users enjoy a very high standard of service. They have an unlimited fleet of vehicles, whereas regular taxi services don't. Also, regular taxi service regulations do not apply to Uber in most areas. Every local, regional, and state entity has their own rules. So Uber has no full-time drivers as it does not hire drivers. And there are no responsibilities towards employees. Okay, so in some areas there is, but in most there are not. Obviously, this was done before a lot of the employment and independent contractor considerations came into play in the last few years. The operational cost of Uber is quite low. It relies on customer to driver interaction, and dispatchers are not needed. There's very little competition. The major competitor for Uber is a company called Lyft. A cashless payment system is used. Uber can track and choose those highly rated drivers. It has many other features like getting in a car easily and having record of the spending. The dual rating system, where riders rate the drivers and drivers rate the riders, boosts trust and safety. The system is convenient for drivers. They can work flexible hours, choose to be part-time, and they can also reject unwanted clients. Prices are lower for an Uber compared to traditional taxis, and they have a high valuation. There's a lot of people that are willing to invest in it. The weaknesses for Uber are the idea can be easily imitated. Nothing will prevent competition from presenting the same product. It may take them a while to scale, but it's an easy business to enter. The relationship between Uber and the drivers is ethically questionable, and we've seen that pop up in the news the past couple of years. It lacks the real connection, so it is expected that loyalty between Uber and its drivers is quite low. And proof of that is when you see a car, they generally have an Uber sticker and a Lyft sticker. So they're usually driving for both. The company and its customers have no bonding. Incentive to remain with Uber is low. And usually for me, it's whatever app is on my phone or connected to a credit card that's currently not expired, or whatever's the easiest I will usually do. The costs of operating the vehicles are very high, but the drivers do not earn so much. Uber has a very unpredictable business model, as we see regulations that come into play that can impede business, and there are privacy concerns. Uber records where customers get the taxi from, and it also get the car from, and note where we go with it. So those are the internal considerations. The external considerations, the opportunities and the threats. The opportunities with Uber, customers are often really dissatisfied with traditional cab companies because of high prices and long waiting time. I also tend to not feel safe in a traditional cab company, especially if I'm traveling in a city that I don't know. Uber can exploit new and big markets in countries like India, where taxi services are inconvenient and expensive. Uber can also tap growing markets in suburban areas where taxi services are not available. There are a rise in a number of Uber drivers that will reduce the estimated time of arrival. So the more Uber drivers, the more availability is, the quicker we can get places. Uber will continue to increase their valuation, and that would appeal to more investors. Cheaper electric cars can be used, which would reduce the cost and increase the driver's profit margin. And additional services like transporting older patients to hospitals, children to school, and pets to the vet can be offered. The external threats to Uber are drivers aren't happy with the low profit margins, and it could lead to bad publicity and unhappy workers. Some new legal regulations in countries like Germany will ban Uber from operating. Problems with local authorities can lead to fines. It can also earn some bad public relations, some bad PR. Increasing competition will decrease prices. This will discourage drivers from joining a new startup in new markets. Self-driving cars, for example, Google cars, could eliminate the need for Uber. And overvaluation could lead to overinvestment in locations where there is no room for a business of a similar type. So we are going to go through an example of a marketing SWOT analysis. This would be done to look at your marketing program. So number one, identify your strengths and weaknesses. Look at the strengths and weaknesses within your own organization. Consider your skills, resources, and performance based on your existing marketing strategy. You can also consider global factors like financial resources to support your marketing operations, physical resources such as your facilities and equipment to support your marketing operations, human resources as like the number of marketing employees you have, their roles, their level of expertise, and current processes that are in place to perform marketing tasks and the tools to support them. Then you want to look at your marketing activities, the effectiveness of your website, your social media, and your reputation, where you rank for critical keywords in search engines, effectiveness of your content marketing strategy, relations with internal stakeholders, customers, and vendors, and the effectiveness of your marketing materials. You want to analyze your performance and customer data and respond to market changes. Deciding whether to name each of these factors as strengths or weaknesses is the next step. It's crucial to include internal stakeholders in brainstorming sessions. For example, you may love the company's website, but if the website isn't producing a steady flow of leads, it needs to be labeled a weakness. This is an opportunity to evaluate the website's design to find opportunities for improvement. Step number 3, identify your opportunities and threats. During this part of the analysis, take a look at the following: the market trends, the economic trends, the political and environmental and economic regulations, competitors' strengths and weaknesses, customers' expectations, new technologies, distribution channels, marketing channels, market regulations, advertising costs, and underserved markets.